Hi guys, this is Gothic Central. Now I have finally figured out my settings thanks to the help of 8-Bit, helping me out with the settings and everything, so that's good. And also let me just double check and make sure my audio is still going through to the right place. Good. So everything's good. Also, this video is top 10 dark things found in Chernobyl. And if you would like to watch the original video, it is by Most Amazing Top 10. Check out their content. As you can see, I am subscribed and with bell notifications on, and I like the video. So, without further preparation, let's just watch the video.
Still to this day, the Chernobyl power plant explosion is said to be the worst nuclear disaster in history. The explosion has had lasting effects to this day, and the area is still considered hazardous to visit.
But those brave souls that have dared to go there have come across some pretty terrifying things, which we will be looking at in today's video.
From toxic radiation eating fungus to weird mutated animals. Let's talk about this and more only in today's video.
Top 10 dark things found in Chernobyl.
Hey everyone, what's up and welcome back to Most Amazing Top 10. I'm your host, Lindsay Ivan, and look who I have beside me. It's a face that you don't know. Do we want to know who he is?
Oh, look at that. We even got a pun for today. I like it. Thanks very much, Lindsay.
You're welcome.
Hi everyone, my name is Dewey Stewart. You can find me on Instagram at DeweyStew if you want to get to know me a little bit more. But for now, I'm the new guy here and I'm loving every day.
All right, let's get on with the video.
Starting us off at number 10 is an abandoned carnival. Now, I have always known carnivals to be very upbeat and happy places, but I think it's safe to say after toxic radiation, they ain't so fun. Just 1.25 miles away from the Chernobyl power plant is the small town of Pripyat. Pripyat was the town where most workers at Chernobyl lived and raised their families prior to the famous blast. Obviously, that is not the case anymore. What is now left of this once popular carnival is a decaying Ferris wheel, bumper cars surrounded by overgrown vines, and an old rusty skeleton of a merry-go-round. It is said that the amusement park was set to open on May 1st, just 5 days after the Chernobyl incident occurred, but the people of Pripyat needed something to do while the reactor was melting down, so the town opened up the amusement park on April 27th. How charming. Nothing more sweet and fun than you and your family enjoying a beautiful Ferris wheel ride that sweeps in and out of toxic radiation. It's the little things in life.
In our 9th spot today, we have the ghosts.
That would
A number of
not
people
have
lost
been
their
my
lives over this
priority.
terrible disaster.
If I knew there was going to be a nuclear meltdown in a town and I was in charge of the proceedings of things, I would forcefully tell everyone to get the hell out of there. Of course, in a professional way, I would say everyone will leave. It is required by law, or you'll be handcuffed and made to leave. You're not going to stay behind so you can get blown up. It's for your own safety. Move along. That's what that'd be more my attitude towards it. I would, however, not open up, or would I recommend opening up an amusement park when there's a reactor about to blow up. That is not good. Not at all.
And it's believed that their souls are still around, haunting Pripyat. This one story in particular will give you the chills. It was told by nuclear physicist Andrei Karsukov. He visited the area in 1997 and claims he encountered a ghost. So when he arrived, he went to the power station and went to the number 4 reactor. That's where the explosion occurred. Now, he was there taking radiation readings when—
Quick theory, maybe the radiation caused a chemically induced hallucinogenic effect on his brain, and maybe he's seen something because of the chemicals in the area. Maybe there's a leak in his suit. It's very unlikely that any ghost would present itself due to the simple fact, the obvious. If you're a person who is more scientific rather than religious ideas, you'll know what I'm talking about. And if, however, you're quite the opposite, that's fine. Believe what you want. I won't not any further to test that, but I will say that it wasn't a ghost. It was probably a mere hallucination, would be my guess. But, you know, when you're tired, working in a chemical wasteland, you're bound to have a hallucinogenic effect, whether it be lack of sleep, chemical infection, radiation infection, or any of the reasons to induce a hallucination. Very simple, very logical explanation, if you ask me. But a ghost, he might have seen a ghost, but there was not a ghost there. He hallucinated. That's my theory. But I do believe that he thinks he's seen it. I don't, however, believe in ghosts, or entities, or anything like that. I believe in science, mathematics, science theory, and other forms of logical thinking that extend more into the imaginative things than the actual things. Like, you know, I'm a big fan of psychology and philosophy, scientific things, you know, things that can be proven. Anyways, yeah.
When all of a sudden, he heard someone screaming for rescue from a fire coming from inside. He said that it was impossible for someone to be inside of the old reactor room. For starters, the door...
Oh, also another thing, I'm genuinely not afraid of the dark. I could be freaked out if I think that there is something of significant logical danger, like a wild animal or something, but then again, most animals are more afraid of you than you are them, so I generally just get more cautious than anything in those circumstances. Not necessarily scared. I mean, I'm a human. Humans are the most dominant species on the planet. We don't answer to animals. I mean, technically we are a form of animal, but at the same time, we're not the same. Anyways, I'm going to continue on with the video.
Requires a password and a handprint. And not only that, it would have tripped an alarm if someone managed to get inside. Yet, the screaming was clearly coming from inside. It sounded like someone was desperately trying to escape. So he might have heard the ghostly cries from someone who lost their life in the power plant explosion. Isn't that scary? I think so.
Number 8, silhouettes of...
I think it's scary that people actually believe that. I think that it's just mere hallucination. But I do think that either way, it would be significantly fearful for the person to experience in either circumstance, whether one of them would not be true or not. It would not matter. Also, guys, I'm going to grab a drink real quick, so I will be right back. Okay, guys, I'm back. I was just getting a Mountain Dew real quick. By the way, 5 minutes, like it said on there, is the limit that I try to abide by to take during a quick thing that I'm doing.
Of missing townspeople. Before I go any further on this one, let me just say that these silhouettes are not actually of real people left after the blast. A couple of sneaky and daring graffiti artists, said to be from Germany and Belarus, snuck into the radiation zone and thought it would be a good idea to spray paint silhouettes of people who once lived in this beautiful little community. So these pieces more or less resemble what once was rather than resembling actual humans from the town. That being said, there are some unique silhouettes through the radiation zone, such as a little girl with pigtails reaching for a light switch in a random abandoned room. Somewhere outside, a boy pulling a truck towards a corner of the building, as well as silhouettes of random people dancing, and to finish it off, a small group of children jumping together in terror of the blast. Pretty morbid, if you ask me. Whether these silhouettes are based on specific real people or not, these random silhouettes are definitely a haunting thing to see, and I don't want to see them.
Coming in at number 7, we have the Bloody Red. The Bloody Red, or the Red Forest, is the name given to the forest area around Chernobyl. Why is it called that? Well, this area received a lot of radiation fallout. As a result, the trees turned this bright orange color and then died. Nowadays, not a single tree can grow there anymore. In fact, this area is considered the most radioactive land area on the planet. Yes, on the planet. Obviously, as a result, the 400 hectares of land are off limits. It's strictly prohibited to go in there. I mean, duh, unless you have a death wish and want to die from exposure to radiation. What's also scary is that in 2015, a fire broke out in the forest, and even more radioactive material was released from this burning. So yeah, that forest is a big no-go zone. Also, could they have given it a creepier name, like the Bloody Red? Really? Really?
Anyways, guys, what I was just gonna explain something real quick. If you guys seen me going like this and saying, of course, damn bug, that's because there was a fly buzzing around here, and it's right there, flying around. I don't like bugs. Bugs irritate me. Flies don't bother me nearly as bad as some other bugs do. They used to bother me a lot worse when I was a kid. But that's because they would always get on my food. And that does still bother me. But let's just say, now that I'm older, I really don't eat as much as I did when I was a kid. I do eat. I ate pizza a couple times today. Not a whole pizza. I ate one slice. Maybe two each. I eat pretty good. I just don't eat more than I need to, or more than I think is worth eating. I look at it more like a chore that sometimes I enjoy. So, I really don't eat a lot. I do like to eat, but I only like to eat sometimes. Most of the time I just eat because I have to. Depends what I'm eating, and it's kind of predetermined if I'll enjoy it or not. Like, greasier foods I tend to eat because I crave it, or that's all there is. I tend to really favor more like less greasy stuff like sushi, and I love sushi. And actually, to be honest, I love Asian food in general. I actually favor Asian food over every other type of food. I love it. I love sweet and sour chicken. That's Chinese food. I love sushi. That's Japanese food. I've tried some Korean food. It's like a rice or something is kind of spicy. I normally don't like spicy stuff a whole lot. I mean, sometimes I do, but I really like that stuff. It's good. And I love wasabi. Wasabi's pretty good. I forget which one was. I think wasabi's Japanese, but I could be wrong. It could be. No, I think wasabi is Japanese. I know for a fact I love seaweed. Like when they put it on the rice and the seaweed and like the it's like vegetables or something inside in the middle. That stuff's good. I love that. I can eat that all day, flat. If you want to see me just eat a shit ton of food, sushi. I will eat a whole like thing. You know, you buy there in the rows. There's like 16 of them. There's like 4 here. There's not 16 of them. There's 4 and 4. There's like 8 of them. I will eat every. No, there is 16. Now that I think about it, because there might be 10. I'm not sure, but there's something like that in them, and they're in rows. They're like 4 here. There's another 4 here, and I think there's another 4 there. I don't know, something like that. But I will eat every single, that's 12 of them, actually. Somewhere around that one. I'll eat every one of them. Every piece of sushi. And then I'll eat another one on top of that. And then guess what? You know those little containers that are like this big? You usually use to put away pasta or something? I'll fill the whole thing up. I'll put napkins down. I'll prepare some shrimp. And I'll lay it down in lines. The whole way across. Twice. I'll layer it. The jumbo shrimp. Fill the whole thing up with shrimp. And I will eat the entire thing to myself. But I will not eat more than 2 hot dogs. I will not eat more than 1 hamburger unless, of course, it's from my favorite place to eat hamburgers, which is obviously McDonald's since I was a kid. But I don't really eat a lot of fast food. But when I do like McDonald's. Also, I really love, I really do like, what is it? I'm trying to think. I really love sushi. I know this is a video reaction, but I just started thinking of food because I just got hungry. Because I just got a drink. And when I have a drink, I'm thinking about, food would go nice with a drink. See, that's kind of how my brain works. Like, most people, they eat a meal and they're like, oh, I wish I had a drink. Me, I'm already having a drink. Like Mountain Dew, Coca-Cola, chocolate milk, whatever. Usually I drink the protein chocolate milk, the stuff that has that you can drink if you don't drink dairy, which is very convenient for reasons I'll leave unsaid. But I get it because it has all the protein and stuff in it, and it has a more chocolatey taste to it. It's good. I like the I think it's called Dairy Farm. It has a cow on the front. I mean, a lot of milk has a cow on the front, but it's built like a triangle, and it has a twist cap on the top. It's not in a jug. It's in it's a dark brown bottle. It's really good. I think it's Fairlife. That's it. It's Fairlife. Protein milk. Protein chocolate milk. It has 15 grams of protein. I forget. It's good though. I highly recommend it. Also, none of this stuff is sponsored. This is just my personal opinion. I'm probably making everyone hungry. Maybe I should do a Gordon Ramsay reaction later. Mountain Dew is green. The six is green. Sorry I twisted my arm like that. The view is flipped. So this is my left hand. This is my right hand. This is my right leg. This is my left leg. So it's flipped. But yeah, sorry if I wipe my hands off a lot. I have OCD. I don't like my hands being wet or damp. It bothers me. And as you can tell, I wash my hands a lot because they crack a lot. Wait, let me see here. Yep. That hurts, is all I gotta say about that. It does hurt. I know I don't have hand cream. If I did, I'd put it on, and then I'd put gloves over top of it so I don't get it on everything. Because that does bother me too. Nothing makes me want to wash my hands more than putting hand cream on, ironically. Actually, no, other things do make me want to wash my hands more. But let's just get back to the video, guys. So,
coming in at number 6 are piles of creepy dolls. Creepy dolls! I have seen plenty of horror films in my time, and nothing creeps me out more than a creepy, probably possessed old doll. All through Pripyat,
I just don't like them
and doll heads can be seen in the randomest of places.
I can't explain it.
Everywhere from windowsills, piles of debris, bed frames, tree branches, literally everywhere.
Literally, guys, when I was a kid, I used to go into my sister's room and tear her dolls' heads off and like put their arms in their heads and stuff. And then I'd wait, and when she'd come back, I'd say, you know what my excuse was? Other than it was funny, her reaction is the dolls were ugly. I was not a very nice older brother when I was real small. Like I was really small when I did that. Like I was literally like 7. And I think my sister was like 3. I did not like dolls. I hated the way they looked. The ones with the bald ones, the baby one. I don't know what it is. And also when I was a kid, I never liked this was when I was a kid. I don't feel this way honestly anymore. I mean, definitely not. I mean, anymore those kind of things creep me out, you know, because they obviously look kind of fake, and if they look more real, they creep me out more. But also something is I noticed when I was a kid, I got annoyed a lot by other little kids because I was one of those kind of standoffish kind of kids that always asked a lot of questions, knew a lot of things, was very well spoken, knew a lot of big words, I guess you could say. So I always kind of got more introverted, and like I really didn't want to sit there and do the playing in the dirt and all that. That wasn't. I wanted to get on my Game Boy when I was a kid, and yes, that was way back then. So obviously it's an older thing. Some of my viewers that are my age probably remember that. But I remember I'd sit down, I'd do that, or I would try to do like some parkour type stuff. That's what I did. So basically, I just didn't like doing pointless things, more or less. I didn't like dirt. I didn't like getting dirty. Definitely. Well, I did not mind sand because sand was like felt cool, I guess. I don't know. But dirt I didn't like because I knew bugs was in dirt, usually. Anyways, that's not to say that I didn't do that stuff when I was a kid. I wasn't always real easy with it. Like I didn't always feel comfortable. I've always had OCD, but I've not always known I had OCD. When I was that young, I didn't know. But I do. But I'm kind of going off on a whole different thing here. But point is, I agree. I don't like the things. They're creepy, especially in this video. They're really creepy. They're all dirty and nasty. OCD triggers right, left, and right. All I gotta say is no. Oh, also, this is kind of embarrassing, but I think some dudes might relate to me in the back of their head. Honestly, babies actually kind of scare me. Honestly, the reason why is because they need your help, and if you don't help them, it makes you look bad. But how are you supposed to know what to do? They need everything. Of course, I always grew up with younger siblings, but I was not one of those siblings that wanted to help take care of them. I was the kind that's like, you had them, they're your responsibility. I was just born first. So, when they got older, of course, when my siblings got older, I actually helped more. But when they were babies, I was like, nope. That thing's too delicate for me to even be around. I'm like kind of into. Anyways, I guess what I'm saying, if I ever had kids, I'd be a good dad once they would get to a certain age when they could start talking and starting to walk and stuff. And they're a baby, I'd be kind of distant. I'd be responsible, but I'd be distant. Babies aren't really my thing. Babies kind of freak me out, honestly. And honestly, I just don't like saying it because some people take it the wrong way. They're like, oh, why don't you like babies? They're cute. Well, obviously they're sweet and they do things that are like lovable and cuddly, but I don't want to be. It's kind of like the same reason I don't want to pick up an egg. I don't want to fucking break it. I don't know how fragile it is. I guess I just don't have enough confidence to deal with something that delicate. I would have to have my own before I would know how to deal with anyone else. Like, I don't know. That's just the way I am. Anyways, one thing I'm not up for. I do not like watching other people's kids. That is probably, I mean, I'll be nice and I'll avoid saying it, but I really don't. I don't mind watching toddlers. That's one thing. Babies? No. They require things I'm not going to do for them. That's all I'm going to say. A toddler can do all that stuff on their own. And if they can't, well, I guess I wouldn't be surprised, but I'm not doing that. That's nasty. Anyway, I have a weak stomach. I'm not going to talk about that kind of stuff. Let's just say I don't like bad smells and I don't like messes, and piece two together in the worst possible way. Not for me. That'd be a no for me. That'd be a yikes for me. Let's watch the rest of the video.
Everywhere. Now, some of these dolls may be left over from the blast, but odds are they are all placed there by cheeky horror fans wanting to place their own touch on the Chernobyl site. Some of these are even propped up in specific poses with gas masks on. Annabelle, if you're watching this, you stay in your glass box. You got that?
We're now at our 5th and halfway mark with the
kind
Hospital of Death. This is said to be the deadliest hospital on the planet. So after the nuclear disaster, this hospital began quickly filling up with a number of sick and injured citizens. Nowadays though, obviously the hospital is abandoned. But the basement of the hospital contains a dark secret. In the basement, there are piles of first responders' clothing. These clothings belong to the first responders like the firemen who were on the scene immediately after the explosion. Obviously, the clothing they wore when they rushed into the building is now highly contaminated, and still to this day emit dangerously high levels of radiation. So they were just dumped in the basement because they didn't know where else to get rid of it. In fact, the radiation in this building is 4,000 times higher than normal. It's crazy.
Number 4, radiation-eating fungus. In the words of Jeff Goldblum, life finds a way. Currently, there is a fungus growing inside the damaged 4th reactor of Chernobyl, where radiation levels are still insanely high. Discovered by scientists back in 2002, this fungus, when tested, showed that when exposed to higher ionizing radiation, it would actually grow faster. What happened to the tested fungus after?
Well, they didn't get copyrighted,
Either way,
but they
I
might
do wish
have,
I could have been there to test it with the other scientists, because I hear they were some pretty fun
paid
guys.
some royalties or something.
I'll show myself out.
I don't
And our
know
third
how
spot
to do
today,
that,
we have
so...
the mutated animals. The Chernobyl nuclear disaster had devastating
Real
lasting
quick,
effects. The nuclear
in case you're wondering where he got that from, it's from a really good movie that I highly recommend, which is Jurassic Park. Please watch it, guys. I hope that I don't get copyrighted for him saying that, though. I would say it myself, but I don't know how some stuff works in the algorithm. I'm not an expert. I'm an amateur, but I like doing YouTube and I like doing Twitch. I'm still learning. That's basically all I'm saying. So let's keep watching.
nuclear material leaked into the soil, contaminating food and water. In fact, the radioactive materials leaked into pastures and was eaten by cows, and then was later found in their milk that children were drinking. But let's talk more about these farm animals that were affected. There were tons of weird mutated animals born near the disaster zone after this incident. Pigs, goats, and horses were born with messed up faces and extra limbs, or were just weird colors. Nowadays, there's a lot of stray dogs that roam the area. Sadly, because of their exposure to the radiation, they don't live a long life, and they may have a number of health issues.
Coming in at number 2 is quite possibly the strangest but most obvious thing you will find in all of Chernobyl. Tourists! Apparently, around 12,000 tourists visit the exclusion zone every single year. One tourism company promises 11 hours of excitement with a respirator and a dosimeter included. There are even some nearby hotels that request you leave your radioactive shoes outside and don't bring them into the hotel with you once you return. No matter how safe or unsafe you think it is to visit the exclusion zone, quite obviously thousands of people from around the world go and visit every single year. Honestly,
people actually go to that place as a tourist attraction, and the place it's in doesn't get sued for it? I mean, yeah, they have PPE, protective personal equipment, but the whole thing is they have to take it off to go somewhere that is probably also irradiated by chance. Also, how are you going to keep the radiation out of a building, a regular building, when there's radiation everywhere? How do you keep it from seeping through the walls? That makes no sense. Also, another thing I might add and point out, what kind of government doesn't have military or martial law in this area? Why is there not military troops marching the grounds in hazmat suits, making sure that no one goes there? There's a few people standing on guard here and there at least. Wearing hazmat suits, don't put them at risk either. Just don't. You gotta keep people out of that area. Because think about it, if they get radiation and they decide to take something somewhere else, it's irradiated. You know what radiation does to the body? I'll give you a hint. Well, let's just say things don't work right. No thank you. The hell with that amusement park. And do not ever take kids to a place like this. It is irradiated. It is not safe. They're literally safer on a bad roller coaster than they would be in this place. Because this place, you go in healthy, you don't come out healthy. It's going to cause something. It just might not be known for years and years until it pops up. Radiation can cause mutations in the genetic code. It can cause, I believe I've heard it could cause cancer, because cancer is a mutation. Also, it can kill your cells just by being present without radioactive shielding. They're only wearing gas masks. It can still get in your skin. It can still seep into your flesh, other than your lungs, and eventually get to your lungs through your body. These people are about half a wit away from being brain dead if they think that this is safe for people. It is not. And the people that do this deserve compensation for being even let into such a dangerous place. Furthermore, I would even say that anyone who goes to a place like this knowing the risks should most definitely get an MRI when they get back. Because either there's something wrong, maybe they hit their head before they decided if they were going to go to a dangerous place like this, or they better check their head for some radioactive changes due to the place. I don't think it's a wise idea. I highly disagree with the idea of going somewhere where there's radioactive things without full body protection at all times, well present. Any amount of radiation. That's why when you go to the doctor, they put that thing over your lap. Where is that protection? There's not. Just the face, and it will eventually get everywhere else anyway. So, what the hell? That's like, honestly, when I hear that they only have face masks and foot protection, I'm thinking, okay, if I wear scuba fins and a breathing respirator and jump in freezing cold water with nothing else on, you're telling me I'm not going to freeze and die. Tell you why. Because you're not covering everything up. You're covering up your face and your feet. You're leaving everything else out in the open. Radiation can get through clothes and flesh and bone over time. Some faster than others. I'm just amazed by that. I'm dumbfounded. That is ridiculous. Why anyone would want to go to a radioactive zone to begin with? I mean, if you let people, they'd probably dive right into the red zone or whatever they were talking about earlier in the video. They would just be like, "Oh, sure, I'll walk through there." Yeah. Then you get a headache, and then you start, other things happen very quickly and rapidly because of the radiation. I wouldn't recommend it. I just wouldn't. Even if you are allowed to do something, doesn't mean you should. I mean, there's a lot of things a person could do that they really shouldn't do, even though they can. So, sometimes you just gotta question, should you, not can you. That is a question, can you do something, but you should also ask, should you do it? Sometimes the answer is no, and it's worth coming across that answer. Especially
it does seem kind of cool, and I'm sure there's a gift shop somewhere that sells shirts that say, I went all the way to Chernobyl and all I got was this shirt and an extra thumb. I'd buy that. Hey, Lizzie, you want to go to Chernobyl with me?
No.
Okay.
And in our number one spot today, we have the Stalkers. This is absolutely insane. I don't think you guys are ready for this one. But the Stalkers is the name given to a group of Russians and Ukrainians that romanticize the apocalyptic environment of Pripyat. They sneak into abandoned buildings and explore them. Sometimes they even sleep over there. Also, to make matters weirder, they bring a gauger counter to see how much radiation they were exposed to on their journeys. Not only that, but apparently they also like to eat the fruit that grows in the danger zone. Like, this is their definition of fun, and they just love it. I highly, highly, highly recommend you don't do this, for a number of obvious reasons. But like I said, the Stalkers love this.
There you have it. Those are our top 10.
Okay. A few things. The thing that they didn't mention, that they hinted at in this video, is the worst thing you could do in a radioactive wasteland. Simply because you're putting more valuable parts at risk in the process. I would not recommend that at all. In eating radioactive fruit, it's kind of like some people, if they know you're sick or something and they're wearing a mask and they wear it here, down. Why? What's the point? If you're not going to cover your whole face, why cover part of your face? Why even? I mean, might as well just wear it normal. Pinch it on your nose, cover the whole thing. Unless, of course, you're eating. That's a little different. But don't eat around sick people. That's all I gotta say. But, main thing I'm saying really is, that as far as eating radioactive fruit, I wouldn't recommend it, even if you are trying to cause some sort of thing out of it. That'd be a very slow way. And if you aren't, also, just don't. Just don't in general. Wouldn't recommend it. Would not recommend it at all. So, don't be eating radioactive fruit. And guys, this has got... Oh, wait, the video's not over yet. Shit, I didn't even realize that.
Dark things found in Chernobyl. Outro, but... Gotta be honest with you, I don't think I actually want to go to Chernobyl because I have enough thumbs as it is, and those piles of dolls actually freak me the heck out.
Yeah, they're terrifying. Like, I've seen the photos of them. That's gross.
Yeah.
No. Starting off this countdown, we have the sarcophagus. Basically, this is a massive steel and concrete structure that covers the Chernobyl power plant. It was designed...
Also, by the way, seeing, like, those creepy dolls laying around kind of reminds me, well, obviously, because they're small like a child and they're laying there motionless, you can imagine what it puts me in mind of, which disturbs me, and that's why I don't like creepy dolls, because they remind me of stuff like that, which is just not a good, no. It puts me in mind of something really fucked up. Like, for example, if you had a bunch of mannequins laying around, I would assume they look like a bunch of dead people, but when they're small, it's, yeah. Don't want to think about that kind of stuff, you know what I mean? So it puts me in mind of that, that's why I say it's creepy and unsettling. Some people don't think dolls are unsettling, but I think they are because they look like a dead person. A motionless person. That's why they unsettle me. Because I really don't like, I do not like dead things. Grosses me out. Like, honestly, that's why I'm a bit of a clean freak, honestly. And I also have OCD really bad, so yeah, there's that too.
To help contain the radiation. The construction of the structure lasted for 206 days, and those working on it had to work in shifts of no more than 7 minutes. Any more time spent near the reactors would have killed them. But still, they did sacrifice their lives building this because thousands of workers still died from exposure to the radiation. Those that survived got severely ill, and majority of them developed cancer. Nowadays, the sarcophagus is still there, but it's beginning to crumble. In 2019, they were in the process of dismantling it because it was going to collapse. So a new one is currently being installed. That's probably the scariest thing in Chernobyl because of how deadly the building it's containing is. Coming in at number 9, we have the gas masks. And if you guys are liking this video or want to see part 3, then smash that like button. Chernobyl already looks like the place where an apocalypse occurred. Buildings are completely abandoned, run down, and overgrown with nature. What doesn't help is the piles upon piles of gas masks scattered all throughout Chernobyl. This really adds to the eeriness of this place, and again, makes it look like a place where a zombie or alien takeover occurred. In fact, there is one room inside a school which is just completely filled with child-sized gas masks. It's very creepy, but also sad. Like, imagine how frightened the young children were when this happened. The gas masks found there are just a sad reminder of the horrors that took place there when the reactor exploded. Moving on to number 8, we have the rotting toys. Littered all throughout the city are toys or personal belongings people had to leave behind. The saddest thing to see are pictures of children's toys left behind. Like, I just think that was probably someone's favorite little dolly. Go anywhere there and you'll find items scattered everywhere, now broken and covered in filth. Like, imagine you're rushed out of your home and have to leave behind all your personal belongings. That must have been so hard. I can't imagine how everyone must have felt. It's really depressing to think about. Moving on at number 7, we have the
trying to think logically right now, but the kind of shit that I would probably have to leave behind, I wouldn't be able to replace. Fuck that. I'd be trying to get shit out. I'd be that guy that leaves last. Because I'm so materialistic, I would end up getting blown up. Because I wouldn't be able to leave my shit behind. Honestly, if there was other people there I had to get out, it'd probably be enough to make me leave the stuff there. But if I was alone, I'd be like, I'm getting my shit out. That's all I gotta say. Because although I value other people, definitely value other people's lives more than my things, myself, debatable. Depends what kind of mood I'm in. But, I don't know, a lot of things tend to put me in the right kind of mood. I'm a very, perceptive person, so having a lot of nice, decent things, makes me feel better. So yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of materialistic. But not, like, in the way that is, like, ignorant or disrespectful. It's more like, I like nice things. I'm not ashamed of it. And I'm willing to work towards getting nice things. And when I have nice things, I'm not gonna like, I'm just gonna appreciate it. I'm not like some, asshole that demands things. Like, I just try my best, and then get what I get, and I feel better. But when I have less, I do feel worse. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not one of those guys that'll, sit down and, with like a banjo and be like, oh, I don't need things to make me happy. I'm not gonna lie. Nice things do make me happy. But people tend to make me a little bit more happy. Because me, myself, I feel a lot better when I'm around people that make the time flow better. And it doesn't hurt to have nice things. So, since I tend to be the kind of person that spends a lot of time alone, whenever I need time alone, main thing I go to is screen, electronics, stuff like that. And if, because I'm more of an introvert, so I kind of have to recharge by kind of, doing my own thing, like not really being bothered. But, yeah, like, I don't know. Anyways, get back to the video. I sometimes I kind of wander a little bit. I like to talk about deep subjects. I don't really like small talk.
The examination chair. So, this one is pretty strange, but somehow a gynecologist examination chair ended up in the middle of the woods outside of a hospital. Not only is that super weird, but it's also super creepy. It's all rusted and beat up and looks like an old torture device. Not only that, but that means someone had to go inside the abandoned hospital, find that chair, and then carry it all the way back down and into the woods. I got a lot of questions. Why would someone do this? And how long did it take them to do this? And again, why would someone do this? Either way,
I know why they probably did it, but I'm just gonna say that's disgusting. And it's probably radioactive. And yeah, I think the lack of brain cells it would require to do something like that is equal to the amount of brain cells the person will have when, or less than when they, never mind. That's just very stupid. People should put their health first. If you're going to hurt yourself in the process, don't do it. Do something else, some other way. Someplace else where you're not in a radioactive zone. It's just not, that's not good.
it makes for a very spooky encounter. Moving on, at number 6 we have the abandoned cooling tower. A partially constructed cooling tower can be found at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant. They were built to evaporate the cooling water from the 2 new reactors. Sadly, they were never completed. Now, these things are massive. The diameter was over 120 meters and it stands at 150 meters tall. Obviously, after the accident, there was no need to continue on with the construction of this, so the government just left the towers there along with everything else. Eventually, over time, nature will have its way with it and it will start to erode and crumble. It's just crazy seeing all these abandoned infrastructures. Imagine how life would have been if that explosion never happened. We're now at our 5th and halfway mark with the toxic river. There's a river that's just filled with radioactive water right near the reactor. Scariest part is, despite how toxic the water is, a bunch of aquatic life live there. In particular, giant catfish. Yes, giant catfish. A video from 2016 shows a massive catfish swimming in the water. People originally were like, oh my god, what the heck is that? It must be some sort of mutated animal. Later, it was just found out to be a giant catfish. But still, what the heck? And it's the fact that they have adapted to be able to survive in that highly toxic water. Like, that just baffles me. Not only that, but they can thrive there because the water has no higher predators. Obviously though, you're not allowed to go fishing there. Okay, I feel like that's a given, but I also feel like people would still try it, so I'm just gonna say it. Don't go fishing there. In our fourth...
If someone told me they ate a radioactive fish, I'd go put on a suit, like a hazmat suit, and I would do them a favor by having them quarantined, processed so they don't get sicker than they probably already are, so that they don't die of radiation poisoning. And I would definitely stay as far away as possible until I knew every ounce of radiation was gone from their system. Radiation is not good. I know that microwaves make radiation, and phones and stuff make radiation, but why do you think I don't put my phone in this pocket or this pocket? I put it in my back pocket or my side pocket. I don't want radiation. Anyways, let's just watch the rest of the video. But yeah, don't eat radioactive fish. That's disgusting.
Fourth spot, we have the
I don't care how
jar
big the
fish.
fish is.
Speaking of fish,
I'd rather
go
eat
with
a
this.
fish.
So back in 2016, photographer and journalist Miriam Weiser
I'd rather
took
eat
a trip
100
to
fish the
explore
size
the
of my
ruins
thumb
of Chernobyl.
and one
While
radioactive
inside an
fish.
abandoned building, she came across something very creepy and odd. She found a bunch of fish and other specimens in jars. Why someone was collecting fish, it just baffles many. And they weren't even like proper beakers or science mason jars. No, it looked like someone emptied out their jar of pickles and then used it to store the specimen. I think it's best if those remain untouched. Like, can you imagine how stinky they would be if they were open nowadays? They would reek. Old stinky fish is not something I would ever want to handle. Now, the other specimen beside the fish are unknown. No one knows what the heck they are. But if you know, let me know in the comments below. Coming in at number 3, we have the abandoned hospitals. The hospitals at Chernobyl are quite eerie. They're just filled with
Probably
rusted,
organs from the
empty
fish.
hospital beds, littered syringes, and more. The walls and floors are cracking, and there's dirt and questionable red marks on the floor. I think the saddest thing though is that these hospitals are often trashed with medical supplies just tossed everywhere. The days after the explosion happened, people were frantically rushing to hospitals. Hospital staff were overwhelmed by the amount of people there. This moment is still preserved in the hospitals to this day. It's pretty dark once you think about it. And at number 2 today, we have the Sad Alley. The Sad Alley, or the Alley of Memory, is an alley in the Ukraine created in memory of the villages and residents who had to flee from their homes during the disaster. Basically, it's a walkway with signs lining the sides. These signs are names of cities and villages that had to evacuate and leave everything behind. It's a way to ensure we just never forget the impact that this disaster had. It's really sad. And in our number 1 spot today, we have the radioactive spiders.
Oh,
yes,
fuck that.
You heard me correctly. Imagine
Fuck
if Peter
that.
Parker got bit by one
Keep
of
that
these
damn
bad
thing
guys.
away from
He'd
me.
be like a weirdly mutated Spider-Man or something like that. But anyways,
If a
the
spider that
spiders
big
in the
comes near me,
exclusion
I will
zone
kill it
are
with fire.
radioactive. So you definitely
kill
don't
it
want
with
to be
fire.
bit by one. Oh wait, it gets worse. They also make radioactive webs. Yeah, you heard me, that's a thing. So you don't have to just worry about these spiders, but you have to worry about walking through their deadly webs. Like, what the heck? No thank you. Nuh-uh. I'm not a fan of spiders, but imagine radioactive ones.
Burn the
That
damn
sounds like it
things with
belongs in a
fire.
horror
Kill
movie.
them with fire. Kill the spiders with fire.
Starting
with
off
fire.
with content, we have the residents.
Kill it.
Believe it or not, but there are people that still
Burn
live in
it.
Chernobyl, even though it's highly dangerous to do so. It's estimated that there are around 130 to 150 people currently living there. Many of them are older women. In fact, they have been given the name Chernobyl's babushkas. Now, you may be wondering, how do they live there when there's no operating grocery store and stuff like that? Well, they live off of the land. They are still farming their family's land. The thing is, the water and soil there is still highly contaminated. So why would they take this risk? Well, one of the elderly ladies featured in a documentary about Chernobyl's babushkas said, and I quote, "Radiation doesn't scare me. Starvation does." After the nuclear disasters, these ladies fled their home, but over the years they have all come back. Despite there being no hospitals or grocery stores, they don't care. They just want to be on their homeland. And turns out their bodies have somewhat adjusted to the high levels of radiation there. In our 9th spot, we have the radioactive animals. And if you guys are liking this video so far, then make sure to give it a big thumbs up. The nuclear power plant explosion had a lasting effect on the animals in the area. First off, families had to flee their home and leave their pets behind. As a result, a number of stray dogs that are descendants of those dogs still roam the area. But it's not safe to pet them, no matter how cute they are. And sadly, because of their exposure to the radiation, they don't live a long life. And many of them have health issues. Another animal that is highly radioactive there are the boars. This is because they eat grubs, tubers, and roots in the soil where the radioactive isotopes have settled. Not only that, but birds and rodents have been found with tumors and cataracts, all from being exposed to the radiation in the area. Coming in at number 8, we have the creepy doll beds. There are a bunch of people who go around Chernobyl purposely trying to make it creepier. They have been given the name the disaster tourists. They have been known to take creepy old dolls and place them on windowsills or hang them from buildings, etc. They also did this really creepy thing in an abandoned school. They rearranged a kindergarten classroom and placed a doll on every single one of those dolls.
Why does that look like something I used to do as a kid?
That literally looks like something straight out of a horror movie. Seriously, out of all the abandoned places there, that one looks like it would for sure be haunted.
Oh my god, that's so funny. That looks exactly like something I would do when I was younger to scare the shit out of my sister. Oh my god, I remember I would do things like I'd put a kitchen knife in her Chucky doll's hand, and then I'd leave it on her bed to scare the hell out of her. And it was a real one too. It was a real one, because that's what made it funnier. I mean, actually, no, I didn't set it on the bed. I set it on the shelf, like over across the room. It was funny though, because it was just funny. I have a sick, twisted sense of humor when I was younger. I still kind of have a sick, twisted sense of humor, a little bit, just a little bit. But yeah, that's funny. It's funny to me. I don't know why scaring people makes me laugh so much. Maybe it's because I don't get scared easily. And for some reason I laugh when I get scared, which is also kind of a bit sadistic. I don't know.
In our 7th spot today, we have the ghostly
Maybe
figure.
I'm not.
There are tons of ghosts that haunt Chernobyl. I mean, any place where a huge tragedy takes place is bound to be haunted. In this case, the ghost was captured on live TV. So Sci-Fi Channel's Destination Truth went to Chernobyl and conducted a number of paranormal investigations. They even went to Reactor 4. While there, they saw a human figure appear on a thermal imaging camera. They believe that that is the soul of a worker that died from the explosion. They also checked out a number of abandoned hospitals and saw multiple figures moving throughout the hospital on the thermal imaging camera as well. Isn't that
lots
spooky?
of editing.
Moving on to number 6, we have the elephant's foot. The elephant's foot is a large mass of black coria. It's given the name the elephant's foot because it's shaped sort of like an elephant's foot. Now, this thing is highly deadly. It emits high levels of radiation. Anyone exposed to it for minutes could die from radiation poisoning. And guess what? Although it's not as active as it was back in the day, it is still generating heat and still melting down into the base of Chernobyl. The scariest part, if it comes in contact with water, another explosion could occur. Now, eventually the elephant's foot will cool on its own, but even then it will still remain highly radioactive. and
Why-
no one
wait,
should
what is
ever
it?
go near it. We are now
Why
at
is
our
it
5th
called
and
an
halfway mark
elephant's
with
foot?
the raccoon dog. This is a really freaking weird animal found in Chernobyl. When people first saw it, they actually thought the radiation caused a dog and a raccoon to just fuse together. Basically, they are found all throughout the exclusion zone, and they are thriving there. It's crazy to see how they have adapted to live in a highly radioactive area. Now, these things are freaking cute. In fact, they are the most observed animals in that area by scientists. Coming in at number 4, we have the firebugs. These are tiny but deadly
keep those
radioactive
damn
bugs.
things away
They were
from me.
discovered
Keep
back
them
in
away.
2011 when 2 friends were out collecting flowers in the exclusion zone.
Ugh.
Don't worry, they were
Okay,
doing
hate
this for
bugs.
scientific
Make me
reasons,
crawl.
to study the pollen, not to just create a deadly radioactive bouquet of flowers. Anyways, while doing so, they came across these firebugs. They then went around collecting hundreds of these bugs, some from areas with higher levels of radiation and some from areas with lower
kill it
radiation
with fire,
levels.
kill it
In
with
the
fire.
end, they found that those
Kill
exposed
it.
to higher levels of
Burn it.
radiation had deformities. I mean, yeah, just as you suspected. Either way, you don't want those bad boys crawling on your skin for a number of reasons.
No.
In our 3rd spot today,
No.
we have the
I do not
mutated
want bugs
wolves.
crawling on
The
me.
wolves from Chernobyl are another animal that are
Aw.
most commonly studied by scientists. In fact, some have been tagged with GPS collars to help track the levels of radioactivity there. Here's the thing. There was this whole scary legend going around that the wolves living there got mutated and were now highly aggressive and massive in size. There were stories being told of these massive wolves hunting down humans and attacking any and every animal. Turns out that this was false. But here's something interesting. Scientists believe that the wolves there have been mating with the dogs there. And in the end, they are creating these large dogs that look like wolves. It's pretty interesting. I want a wolf dog. Another interesting thing is that research has shown that the radiation isn't really affecting them. In fact, the wolf population is thriving there. As a result, they have concluded that humans have a greater negative impact on animals' lives than radiation does. Isn't that insane? It is said that there are around 300 wolves living in the exclusion zone. But again, like all the animals mentioned on this list, they are highly radioactive and dangerous to get close to or even pet.
Well, I'm not gonna say too much, but when I was younger and I had a pellet gun, I did a lot of hunting. And when I started to get into CO2 pistols when I was like younger, not like a kid, but younger. I'm just gonna say, yeah, the woods was quiet for a reason. I'm not gonna go into any more detail. Let's just say I found out real quick how to aim with 2 separate hands. Oh, interesting fact, one time I got mad and ran into the woods, and I actually made a bear viciously run away from me. A large male black bear. Which was very surprising to me. My intentions were the opposite of what happened, but I'm not going to go into that or my previous depression problems or mental, stuff then. That's all sorted out now, but I just thought I'd tell you guys that that I used to. The reason I brought that up is because she's saying about how humans are worse on animals than radiation. I can attest to that, quite personally. But that was a long time ago. It's been years since that. Quite honestly, I started getting disgusted by the whole thing. I mean, I like to eat meat, obviously. I like steak. I like a lot of stuff like that. But I just don't have the stomach for how it's made. I just don't have the stomach for, actually getting that. I'd rather just buy it. Because something about gutting grosses me out a lot. It just really does. It grosses me out. It actually makes me gag. Like, fish is one thing, but stuff that has, like, nope. Nasty. Don't want to look at it. honestly, I mean, I have no problem with, hunting it down, but when it comes to gutting, no, nasty. Don't like it. So there's no reason to do it in the first place. What? This is one of those things. Anyways, to wipe your hands with, or face, or whatever. But I do have to say, whenever it comes to eating meat and shooting, I'm all for it. I just I really do like target practice and stuff. I just don't really like. I'm not the way I used to be. Let's just put it that way, and that's a good thing. It's amazing how much a person can change in a few years. Anyway, I guess I guess I developed some good habits when I got out more, and I developed some bad habits when I was a kid growing up in the middle of nowhere. So, or just just young in general, not necessarily a kid. But I kind of blur the lines when it gets close to that. I like to leave the past in the past. Anyways, she has really nice hair, by the way. But
Coming in at number 2, we have the tombs.
like
This is one of the saddest things at Chernobyl.
Actually, kind of reminds
Basically,
me.
a number of individuals that got exposed to the radioactive materials and died had to be buried in basically a big concrete coffin. Let's take a look at a man named Vasily Ignatenko. On that day, he went to the roof of the power plant to extinguish the fires. Sadly, he was exposed to a lethal dose of radiation and passed away. He was only 25. Now, his body was still radioactive. So Vasily, along with 27 other firefighters, were buried under big amounts of zinc and concrete. They did this to protect the public from the radiation emitting from their bodies. They were buried all around the reactor. It's really sad that they didn't really get a proper burial. I mean, they couldn't. It was too dangerous to go near their bodies. And in our number 1 spot today, we have the Blackbird of Chernobyl. According to some survivors of this accident, they claim that shortly before the nuclear plant meltdown, they all experienced nightmares. They also received threatening phone calls and had encountered a huge winged bird creature. Legend goes that these were all warning signs that the disaster was going to happen. The creature they saw was a large creature like a man with huge wings and red eyes. Some even claim they saw it over one of the reactors as it went through the meltdown. This creature has been given the name the Blackbird of Chernobyl. So legend goes, if you were in Chernobyl and you see this creature, then something bad is going to happen. Alright guys, that's all for today's video. Let me know in the comments below which one of these things creeped you out the most. And now, speaking of comments, let's move on to our comment shoutout portion. I'll be shouting out comments from the video Top 10 Real Phobias That People Actually Have. Freya Kumar commented, I swear, there's phobia for everything though. There is, literally. I think there's a phobia for having phobias. I think that's a real thing. I should Google that. It'll be on the next list if I make a part 2. Minecraft Plays commented, I have arachnophobia, which is a fear of spiders. Yeah, everyone knows what arachnophobia is. Spiders are freaking creepy. Mary Nelson commented, I think you're doing great with the pronunciations, Lindsay, and I'll see you when I see you. Hey, that's my catchphrase, okay? You can't say it. Just kidding, but thank you so much. The pronunciation of things, does that make sense? Pronunciating things is the saying things wrong, pronunciating things wrong has to be one of my phobias. Just kidding, but you guys always call me out for it and I don't appreciate it. I'm trying my best, okay? Trying my best. Alright guys, that's all the comments I'm shouting out for today's video. Make sure to comment something down below for a chance to be featured in my next comment shout out. And as always, don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to Most Amazing Top 10 for more amazing videos. I've been your host, Lindsay Ivan, and I'll see you when I see ya. Whoa. I sat on my charger.
Okay. Anyways, guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Remember to like and subscribe and hit the bell notification for more content. And as always, this is Gothic Central Remember to check out 8-Bit Guitar Lord, EDDYSIXX Gaming, and Super Mario Fortnite. Have a nice day, guys. Gothic Central to all my Gothings. And